The Halo franchise offers a wide array of multimedia content. While most known for the video games that started the formerly Xbox exclusive franchise, it has expanded into comic books, animated, and live action films. The books cover the background of the games and some side stories to bridge the gap between the mainline games. Halo 3 is the best selling game of 2007 with 8.1 million copies sold, and currently over 400,000 users that follow the Halo Reddit page. Now, with the series being added to PC in Halo the Master Chief Collection, with a peak player count of over 150,000, and promising looks into the next entry, Halo Infinite, excitement for the series has come back. Halo has a sizable audience to show that there is something special about this franchise. For those who are not familiar with the series, I want to share my favorite part of lore in the franchise: the Spartans. The Spartans are the mascots of the series. Super soldiers that would represent the ideal soldier who can survive anything. Men and women who could stand feet above the average human, and quite possibly the only reason humanity fought off the alien covenant. The main character of the numbered entries is the Master Chief, John 117. However, there are different protagonists within the other games, such as Noble 6 of Halo Reach, and the Rookie of Halo 3 ODST. I'll bring up ODSTs later. But the distinctive armor style carries over a sense of a shared universe. With their legendary stature, I want to put them through analysis in the lens of M. Jimmy Killingsworth Appeals in Modern Rhetoric, where body is used to look up or down on oneself and others. Before I talk about the Spartans proper, I need to set the stage for the Halo universe. For the intents of this, I will not go into anything Forerunner or Flood related, because this might confuse non-fans already. Humanity branched out into the stars in the 24th century, and began to colonize planets. As humanity expanded, the outer colonies began to rebel against the unified Earth government, the UEG. For the sake of brevity, I'm cutting much of the quote-unquote Spartan I project, or its real name, the Orion Project. Basically, they used human adult volunteers to give enhanced training and biochemical enhancements in order to quell human rebellion. While relatively successful, the results did little to help the UEG. What members that did not retire or suffered long-term side effects of the process were reshuffled back into the regular military with the regular soldiers. Most none the wiser, not even their successors. Here is where we talk about the real Spartans. Even though the Orion Project was distinct and different, the next super soldier project in the 2500s is named the Spartan II program. While it was built off the results of the Orion Project, what made this distinct enough to rename the entire project were the changes across all procedures, training, and their choice of candidates. With biochemical, there was also cybernetics. While riskier, it would produce much greater soldiers. This would set the precedent of future Spartan iterations. However, it came at a cost. The games mostly focus on the Spartans as near-invincible alien-killing cyborgs, which, for most players, that's all they really need to know. However, there was a reason I brought attention to what kinds of candidates were used in the Orion Project: human adult volunteers. In order for the Spartan IIs to have a greater chance of their bodies accepting the changes, they had to be selected from very specific genetic material. They had to be stronger, faster, and smarter than their peers. They also had to be children, specifically 6 years old, and these were not volunteers. The government kidnapped 75 6-year-old children from their parents in order to experiment on them and turn them into war machines. They figured it would be worth the lives they were losing to the human insurgents. Look at the bright side, it was originally 300 children before their budget was cut. Naturally, this is all top secret, which came with the quote-unquote benefit of given the harshest mental and physical training before their augmentations when they were 14. 30 died and 12 were paralyzed after this. The amounts of changes done to their bodies caused extreme pain, even when supposedly unconscious during the process. All of them walked out as tall as the average adult, with more growing left to make in the coming years. John 117, almost immediately after his changes, went to sparring with 3 ODSTs, Orbital Drop Shock Troopers, or Hill Jumpers, more commonly known for their special training and their particular means of engagement. The result of this sparring match was accidental death of all 3 ODSTs. This horror, all to stop human rebellion, at least until the Covenant arrived. The Covenant are a collection of many alien races united under one religion that worshipped ancient alien technology that started to wipe out entire human worlds without warning, reasons of which are off topic. When this happened, the insurgency was quick to reunite with the UEG. Rumors of tall, fast, and strong soldiers clad in green power armor defeating legions of aliens began to surface across the UEG. The boost in morale from the soldiers led the UEG to remove the classified status of the super soldiers, though hiding the origins of the program. The populace was all too happy to disregard where they came from, as they were soon seen as their greatest hope against the Covenant. Obviously, the ethics are messed up. The Spartans were made to stop human infighting, so their reason behind kidnapping and practically torturing children is obviously wrong. A 14-year-old, regardless of size, killed 3 long-standing and highly trained soldiers on accident. Many ODSTs looked down on and hated the Spartans. While scientists saw the Spartans as the next step in human evolution, the ODSTs shown disdain toward them. They saw them as soulless and inhuman abominations. It was science that went too far and undermined all their experience in combat, at least to them. The Covenant even took to calling Spartans demons out of fear and respect after seeing them on the field. However, without the Spartan IIs, humanity would have lost the Human Covenant War. Negotiations were impossible with the Covenant. They left entire planets just a heap of molten glass to destroy all traces of humanity. Just one Spartan, the Master Chief, was able to cripple the Covenant on his own. Just one Spartan in the right place was able to end an over 25-year-long war in less than 6 months. Master Chief was one of the very few Spartan IIs still alive and became a legend himself. Many wondered if making more Spartans would end the war sooner. To keep morale up, when a Spartan would die, they would be formally listed as MIA, missing in action, leading to the phrase Spartans never die. In all actuality, despite being made to be as close to indestructible as possible, given the technology at the time, many did die from what little were produced. They would never be given a formal burial, and even if they had that chance, their families moved on. The Spartan IIs had all their names reduced to a first name and then a number. Most only wore the iconic green armor with few exceptions. The government left clones that would die of sickness shortly after their kidnapping, so the truth would never go back to their families. Their bodies would never be able to be set to rest. The Spartans, their legend, their power, and their identities are tied to their bodies in that distinctive Mjolnir green armor. The government felt that humanity's survival was worth any price, monetary, bodily, or otherwise. Then came the proposed Spartan III program. Instead of making the next Spartans stronger, they instead cut back on them. The goal was to produce more Spartans cheaper, faster, and expendable. With new technology, they could expand the genetic pool they could choose from. There was also a surplus of angry orphans who were more than willing to take revenge out on the Covenant when they lost their homes and families to them. So now, it is just marginally more ethical letting the orphans choose to become Spartans. Unlike the Spartan IIs, the IIIs were never meant to see the light of day during the Human Covenant War. Instead, they were made to go on suicide missions, hit high-value targets, sacrificing these cheaper Spartans for time. While the Spartan IIs have put a price to a human being, at least they were near priceless and valued, even after they died. The Spartan IIIs initially would never get that chance. No legends over them. Only a select few would even get the same armor as their older figurative siblings. The rest get the cheaper spy armor that trades the extreme protection for stealth, being near invisible as compared to the energized shields of the Mjolnir counterpart. To make up for this, they were personally trained by another Spartan II, Kurt-051, or Kurt Ambrose, to cover his falsified death to keep the Spartan IIIs secret, even from their predecessors. The Spartan IIIs to their government were not as valuable. In a way, these Spartans had more wrong done to them. The Spartan IIs could live on, thinking their families are safe and they're helping to keep them safe. The IIIs don't have that luxury. All of the children allowed this to happen because, as far as they cared, they were already dead. Coming out with the augmentations was just a temporary rebirth to them until they could die again. Their invisible armor just adding to the fact that they were ghosts among the living. Their bodies intended to disappear from sight and mind. The Spartan IVs were introduced after the Human Covenant War ended in 2552. With heroes such as the Master Chief becoming an iconic hero, the Spartans became a symbol of victory from the Human Covenant War. While made to capitalize on the popularity of the Spartans, they are given even less changes and is more akin to the original Orion project. Without the Covenant to hold back human progress and alliances with those who broke out from the Covenant, technology grew much faster. As a result, those who have shown skill and valor in the war can be elected to volunteer for the Spartan IV program. They are given more biochemical augmentations rather than cybernetic. Even with the changes they were given, they are nowhere near the strength of Spartan IIs and the still weaker Spartan IIIs, despite the benefit of longer combat experience in most cases. They made sure to make up for this in the Mjolnir Gen 2 armor system. Even though these are chosen and finally willing subjects, they were still not like the other Spartans. If you had asked the 2s and 3s, most are only Spartans in name. One of the exceptions being Spartan Edward Buck, former gunnery sergeant and ODST himself, a soldier who has seen enough that most of the pride and other human natures and emotions has been sapped by the war. Buck even reflects on his choice to become a Spartan, admitting that any chance to leave the military was near impossible now. To undergo such changes so late in his career meant that retirement is out of the cards, especially if the changes increase his lifespan, which they just might. In a way, these people sold their own bodies to the military to ensure its strength. The Spartan 2s and 3s that are still alive were brought into the Spartan branch alongside the 4s. While mostly done to replace all the Spartans lost in the war, these post-war Spartans were cheap knockoffs in comparison. Most lack the hardened demeanor of the previous generations, often bragging about their changes and showing off their superiority. And with Spartans becoming common now, the legend of the originals is diminished. There was enough that new military branch was made for the Spartans. Inside it, formal ranks have also gone by the wayside. All the Spartans became the same rank, though command was still carried through respect and natural leadership skills. What used to be figures of wartime myth are now seen as stronger than average soldiers. What enhancements that originally came from the soldiers themselves, the armor now makes up for. While ethically sound, if another galactic threat worse than the Covenant comes around, these Spartan 4s just might not be strong enough to face them, and there is a constant looming threat. To shortly reiterate what each program meant for the body, the Spartan IIs, legends with sheer power at the cost of innocence and identity. The Spartan IIIs, ghosts waiting to let their bodies catch up to their dead minds and souls. The Spartan IVs, imitations that sold their bodies to show dedication but undermine the sacrifices made. Each has improvements to the body at great cost to something else. It seems in Halo, to gain power in body and to survive, there has to be a significant sacrifice somewhere. In this, we have to ask at what point is it no longer about survival and is instead about power.